So for my research project, it was originally done on what my final project was supposed to be, but unfortunately, since we have moved home, I can't complete the final to the way that I would have wanted. So I'm just going to end up postponing that original idea. I'm still tossing around a couple ideas to maybe use a few of the images, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I did, however, do all my research already, so what you're going to see here goes with the original idea for my final, and it's something that I've been calling the Party Project, and there'll be more about that coming right up. So how did this idea start? I originally got this idea back in 2018 when I stumbled across an article on this book that got published, and it is called The American Fraternity. It is done by, he's not a photographer, but he did take the pictures that are in this book back in 2008, and they are through a couple of other different years, but it was mostly done in 2008. And his name is Andrew Moisey. And he did this book and took pictures basically of what was going on inside of his brother's fraternity. And it happened at an unknown university, unknown fraternity, everything's anonymous, mostly to try and protect the identities of the people who are in the images. He also waited 10 years to publish the book just to kind of add that extra layer of security in trying to make sure that he wasn't going to like out anyone in these pictures in some uncertain or uncomfortable way. There was still a lot of controversy over the images, however. Some of them do depict things like animal abuse, there's nudity, and there was a whole thing on did he get the consent of the woman who was in the picture. She was with another man, so it's a complicated situation. So I did read an article based off of that idea, and it is important to get consent in these types of images because you are kind of showing people at their most vulnerable point. But he did the project of this book with the intention of kind of showcasing what toxic masculinity is looking like within these fraternities. And a quote from him that was in an article that I read, he said, "Fraternities are places where problematic and toxic masculinity is incubated." And, that is something that we see time and time again in different patterns all over the US. UNH is not immune to it either. I have a whole slide on that in a couple seconds. But yeah, so this kind of started my whole thought process on what I wanted to turn into what I'm calling the Party Project. Another interesting aspect of this book is he also has lists of past presidents, senators, and Supreme Court justices who also come from a college background of being in a fraternity. And it's about 75% of them that have been in a fraternity. So I think that's just an interesting statistic. So these are two of the images right here. These are not some of the big controversial ones. There is some stuff on the one on the left saying that it's pulling ideas from World War II with the people having their faces covered and being let off somewhere uncertain. It is uneasy to look at because I'm sure they were being led to some type of hazing ritual. But that is one of the pictures, and I think it is a really interesting image. The one on the right is kind of funny in a sense. He's holding this massive container of what appears to be mayonnaise, and this guy has his pants off, and he's got just his shirt on. It's a really interesting concept, and there are people laughing, but I'm sure there were also people who were there who were uncomfortable with what was going on, and that part isn't depicted. It's this whole idea of, boys being boys, that type of environment to me, or at least that's what I'm getting from the picture. These two are also pretty interesting. The one on the right specifically gets me and is concerning to me because they're literally pouring some type of drink down this boy's throat. Probably he's very drunk right now. And that's just not okay, because I'm sure if someone's dumping something down your throat, you're not agreeing to it, you're not consenting to it, and that's not okay. The one on the left is another humorous one. There's a guy, it looks like he's dressed as a Scooby-Doo, and then there's the guy with the jorts and just the hilarious faces. It just looks like they're having a great time, but I'm sure it's also, again, under the influence of something. And I'm sure there were people uncomfortable with what was going on, and it's just an interesting concept. Like I said, there are other images within the book that are way more controversial than these, but I chose these ones because they wouldn't be uncomfortable for anyone to look at. Like I said earlier, UNH is not immune to this type of behavior. In the previous project that I did, I talked about how there's been certain fraternities on campus who have been kicked off due to drug busts and kind of violating the rules that we have in place specifically for the safety of people. And, that type of behavior is not okay, but it's not just UNH that it happens all across the US. Another important thing about this project, in order to understand it, you kind of have to understand party culture. People aren't just gonna go out and drink and do crazy things without no point to it, or at least that's what I like to think. The UNH campus has a very strong party culture. The bars on campus are pretty much open every night of the week with some type of situation for people to go to, especially Thursday nights. Thursday nights get the nickname Thirsty Thursdays. There's other days of the week that have nicknames for them as well. And it's pretty intense at UNH, I will say. The idea to party often and drink more helps get people on these platforms like Barstool, Fifth Year, other social media superstars. And, that kind of plays into the situation of making these behaviors kind of more erratic and more crazy, and people drinking more and falling on the ground. You see people doing crazy things in these videos, and they're falling on the ground, probably getting hurt too. And is that really good? That's party culture. And 1 out of every 3 college-age students who state that they drink participate in binge drinking, and binge drinking is having 5 or more drinks in a short period of time or in one night. And that's a lot. That's a big number of students who say if they do drink, they are binge drinking. Another important thing is alcohol is used as a tool in sexual assaults, which is a big issue on all college campuses. It's about 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men. And that's a big chunk of the student population. And the problem with party culture and playing into that is it's hard to tell when the alcohol is being abused to actually incapacitate someone to the point where they can no longer make a decision for themselves. And that's a big issue, and that's a big conversation. And students are also dying from pushing their limits too far. About 1,825 students per year are dying from alcohol-related incidences. And that's a good number of students. And that's only students who are within the range of 18 to 22. So these are a few of my images that I have for this project that unfortunately isn't gonna be fully done yet, but it is definitely something I'm gonna continue to work on. As you can see, these people are having a great time, and there is alcohol in the background, there's alcohol involved. I definitely did ask people's permission way before taking their images, just to make sure that they would be okay with it. Most of these people I know, they're my friends, so they are aware that their picture is being taken. There are a few other ones where it's a crowd of people, but I did ask the majority of them. Some people walked away, so I wasn't able to ask permission, but it's not like I'm gonna exploit these images. It's just gonna be for the class. So these are a few of them. And then there are these 3 as well. I just had a picture of the bathroom. I thought that was interesting. Then my roommate is actually washing her hands in the other picture in the bathroom. And just kind of showcasing how disgusting they are. And then, the casual, let's play some Pong type picture where everyone's kind of crowding around the table and watching. Honestly, the funniest part of that picture on the bottom, though, is the guy's pit stain that sticks out really well. I think that's pretty funny that, I don't know, my eye just goes kind of right there. I don't know if anyone else is going to notice that until I say that. But yeah, so that's mainly the project that I've been working on and the research that I've done. If you're interested in looking at the book, there are pages online. If you want to see some of the other images, just Google the American Fraternity. You can also purchase the book on a variety of different websites. Amazon offers it. It's even on places just like Target, which I thought was pretty interesting given the content of the book. But yeah, so if you want to do some further looking into the other pictures, I definitely recommend it. But yeah, so that's my research project.